Welcome to the Life Career Roadmap, episode number 5 with Abha Singh. So it's my pleasure to have Abha here with us today because Abha was a person who I talked a lot during her mentoring program, and also she gave me some challenges. Right? We are talking about the challenge soon. So let's go. So thank you very much, Abha, for coming and agreeing to chat with us and sharing your migration journey, your life career journey coming to Australia. So as I do normally, I would like to ask you, where are you come from, Abha?
Yeah, thank you so much, Cema, for inviting me. I am super, super excited talking to you. I have missed our times when we were doing the mentorship, and you were such a great mentor. So anything and everything for you. So your first question, I came from Australia. I came to Australia from India in 2019, February of 2019.
And what brought you to Australia, Abha?
Yeah, so while I was doing my bachelor's in civil engineering from India, I always thought about, the environment and doing something in that sector and something that would excite me. And, I started researching, what countries could I go to, something, and Australia is such a diverse country in terms of not only people, but also the wildlife, the beaches, the outbacks, and everything. It was something new for me to try, and I just wanted to grab the opportunity by any means. And that's what excited me about Australia, because I really, really wanted to work in the environmental sector and learn more, because I lived my whole entire life in India, and it was a different culture. It was a different sort of like industries are prevalent there. If we It's just your doctor, engineers, lawyers, and it's a very set sort of society. You work as these things and this is what you do, but I wanted to get out of that mold and do something different, and here I am doing that.
Wonderful. And which part from India are you from?
So I'm from the northern region in India. It's a state called Haryana, and it's next to the capital region in New Delhi. So that's where I'm from. Yeah.
And growing up at the time, like when you were a teenager or a child, did you choose your career as a civil engineer because you saw something different, or it came up to you, or some of people told you that it would be a good fit for you? What made you decide to do civil engineering?
Yes. So interestingly, my father is a civil engineer as well, and I was in awe of him my whole life. He is such a wonderful person, both in his personal and professional life. And he has such an aura. Like, I saw him, the work that he did, and I just wanted to be like him. So he was my inspiration behind everything. And this is a very technical field, technical, and also a rough sort of like area of job where people find that girls cannot do this. Most of the times, if you see someone from an engineering background, you will find them, particularly girls, they would be based in IT or software and all those things, because they're like, oh, these are jobs that are fit for girls because they can work behind a desk and that's okay, but they cannot do technical degrees because that's not their cup of tea. And that was another reason why I wanted to particularly do civil engineering, because I was like, no, girls can do everything. And you will find it that I have a I'm really passionate about girls being in STEM. And I have always supported that my entire life. I've encouraged many of my cousins, family, friends, and everyone to go into this field, because why can't we do anything that any boy or any male member of our families can do? So
Yes, that's right. So, and then you decided while you were studying civil engineering that it would be a good fit for you come to Australia and do your master's degree. Is that correct?
yes, that's when I decided that. Yeah.
Yeah. And between the decision, the thought of coming to
Mhm.
Australia and the decision to come to Australia and coming to Australia, how
Mhm.
long took you, or the period of time that took you from the thought to the action of arriving in Australia to do your master's degree?
Yes. So I first thought that I wanted to move to Australia to do my master's in my last semester uh, of my degree. So it was around, I would say, November 2018.
Mhm,
But I was waiting for my graduation, and I graduated in June 2018.
mhm.
Yes, and between that, applying all the visa process, applying to the universities and all those things, it took me about, I would say 6 months or 6 to 8 months. I was here in February 2019.
Very quick.
Yeah.
Very quick compared to many people that sometimes wait up to 5 years to come,
Yeah.
right? Because the process takes so long.
Yeah.
So, and then you came to Australia. So your perception of Australia before you came here, oh, the beautiful environment, the beach, the
Mm.
outbacks, and
Mm.
everything. So all the thought of coming in, learning environmental science that you decide to do as a master's
Mm.
degree, right?
Yes,
So
that's.
the perception and the reality, how was for you?
Yeah, I mean, the first 6 months, to be honest, wasn't that different than anything else because it was just another metropolitan city, and
Mhm,
it wasn't really different than Delhi or Mumbai or any metropolitan city in India. And also on top of that, in every single university, I had classmates that were Indian,
mhm,
Nepalese, people from Bhutan. So I saw a lot of people that shared the same sort of culture as me. So it
mhm.
wasn't that, you know, different to me in the first few months. But as soon as I started to like explore more, go out in the communities, meet with more Australians, and started actively participating, because the first 6 months I think I was just talking to the same people who understood my culture, people whose culture I understood, so I wasn't exploring much. But afterwards I was like, yes, this is quite different than what I imagined, because I imagined that I would find a lot of people from European countries and all those,
Mhm.
people, and I'll talk to them and it would be a culture shock for me. But it wasn't. It was only after I started doing my internships, starting volunteering and all those things, I actually saw that it's quite different. It's people in Australia are extremely friendly. They are extremely curious about other culture and all those things. I did think that, I don't want to interact with a lot of Australians. I don't know how they're going to react to me, an Indian girl coming in, you know, maybe what
Different.
it will be difficult and all those things. So I think I shied away from it in the beginning
Mhm. So
because of
you
the
kept to
misconception.
yourself with the
Yeah.
afraid of being rejected
Being
or being just like not in the right place, the right moment.
Yeah, no, I think it was being rejected and being, I didn't want to be in a difficult situation where I would feel like, oh, I do not belong here.
Yes,
So I
of
was just trying to protect myself.
yeah. And
Yeah.
then you, as part of your master's degree, because you didn't work as a civil engineer in India, right? You just had the studies and
Mm.
I believe the little internship in there. So,
Mm.
and then you had the internship here during
Mm.
your master's degree that you worked for the water, was the water?
It was the Department of Water and Environmental Regulations.
Yes. And how was the experience for you?
It was amazing. Like, I worked with some of the people, some really good people there. And the team that I was working with, they've been in the field for 20 plus years. Like, everyone was so experienced, but they all made me feel so welcome. And that was, I would say, my first sort of stepping out of the comfort zone and being part of that Australian work culture. And I realized how different that is from what I had mis like I had so many misconceptions, because from where I come from, if you're working somewhere, you have to give your 100, 200, 300%. And it's not only what you do between the work hours, you take your work home with you and you let the work consume you.
Yes, that's right. And it was a shock for you that you had the time to go back home and probably you didn't know what to do with your time.
Yes, and I had such like this one incident. So one of my supervisor, it was during COVID. So not during COVID, like time when restrictions were lessened and I could actually go into the office and work from there. So I was the first one in the office, even though I had to travel from city all the way to Joondalup, and I was always the first one to be there, because it's not only with the work that you do, it also depends on the appearance. That's what I was taught, that's what I knew. Okay, I had to be the first one in the office. And he said that, oh, I work from home on Mondays, you shouldn't come in on Mondays as well. And that was such a foreign concept to me, and I thought that that was a test, that someone was testing me. If I don't come in on Monday, it's going to go badly, and they're going to judge me that I did not come into work, so I did not do any work. So but slowly and slowly I realized that they were actually serious.
Yeah.
At first I did not think it was.
So let's talk a little bit more about the misconceptions. So you said you had many. One is working long hours, bring the work with you. You are your work when you are
Yes.
in your country, like it's like Brazil as well.
Mm.
You need to fight for your work to
Yes.
keep your work for yourself. Otherwise, someone else grabs your job and you are left out. So this is the conception that in Australia, you have your hours that you work and then you have a life after work, right? So what other misconception that you had that then you realized, oh my goodness, it's really different?
Yes, another big one was that you never get credit for any work that you do, because in a lot of countries what happens is that you do the work, but your work is passed on as something that your supervisor or your managers did. So you're just doing the work, but someone else would get the credit. That feeling when someone actually says that, oh, you did a really good job, is something that you don't get in a lot of places in the world. And I was pleasantly surprised that that was the case.
That's true. And because you speak good English, did you have any difficulties regarding accents when you came to Australia, or expressing yourself, not as just because of the English, but because of the communication, the style of communication?
Oh, at first it was a little bit hard to understand the Aussie accent, but I've grown up speaking English all the time, because one of the official languages in India is English as well. So that wasn't the tough part for me, but all the accents and different, it's not only Australian, you see a lot of different accents. You see people from Brazil, Colombia, and Africa. Everyone would have a different accent. So just understanding that was a bit different than what I anticipated. But on top of that, you see all these Aussie shortcuts that they have for, like, for a while I had no idea what arvo was, and I was like, people just keep saying that, oh, I'll be back this arvo, and I'm like, I have to like Google it. And after that, I was like, yes, there are a lot of things that I need to learn about the language itself, because it's English, but there is a lot of difference between the English that I speak and the English that is being spoken to me.
It's colloquial, right? So as Indian, it's very formal English that you learn, right? And here it's everything shortened or cut or even reinvented, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, did you have any roadblock that you consider as a roadblock transitioning from your career in India to Australia, or the life in India in Australia?
Yeah, I mean, there is a big difference in term of how education is. Like from where I come, we have a set period of time. Like it was very, it wasn't weird for me that I just finished my bachelor's and I jumped and got my admissions in my master's. Like it's something that a lot of people in India do, but that's not how things happen in Australia. You do your bachelor's, or you don't even do that. You have your, TAFE degree or something. You do the work. You're already working in that field, and then you feel like, oh, I should have a qualification in that field as well because I want to go ahead in my career and all those things. Then you may come back to uni when you're 40 or you're, you know, any age, and or you're just doing want your education just for fun, because you wanted to do it. That's not how saw education. I saw education as a means to learn, a means to actually work in the industry. So that was quite different, and it was difficult for me to make people understand that my conception is that you learn about something, you train for it, and you work in that field.
Mm-hmm. It's a linear career.
It's a linear career graph.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of my classmates that were already working in the field for 10 years or something. And then they were coming in to do their masters because they wanted to go ahead in ahead in their lives. And when some things were completely foreign to me, completely new to me, they already knew about it.
They had the skills.
Yeah, they had the skills, and it was so foreign to them that I've never worked in my life, although I was 22 at that time. So for them to see my journey and for me to see their journey, it was a shock to both parties.
Both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. You're quite young doing your master's degree. So people don't expect you to do this, right? You go straight away. And some people do a PhD very young as well, before they even turn 30. So it's a career path that some people choose. So, and then here in Australia, you finished your internship, but you didn't get a job after that. Is that right?
Yes, it was a very tough time, after COVID and everything. And with me being an immigrant, and I did not have, I had the qualification, I had the skills as well because I did a 6 month internship and all those things, but I did not have any work experience. On top of that, my visa, I did not have a permanent residency. So that was another thing. And it just, at one point, it seemed like, oh, there was a loop. Oh, you don't have a job because so you cannot apply for a PR and get a better job,
Yeah.
but you don't have a PR, so you cannot get a job. So it was a constant loop of things. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm stuck in that cycle, and how do I get out of it?
Yes. And did you find any other job not related to your field for you to be able to pay the bills, or what did you do?
So when I came to Australia, before I came to Australia, I applied for education loan because I knew that it was going to be hard because Australian currency is much higher than Indian currency, and I didn't want my parents to feel like that it's an added financial burden on them to finance my education and everything. although they happily wanted to, but I didn't want that. And also they didn't want me to see the same linear curve. For them, you complete your education and then you get a job. That's the linear curve. For them, it was really hard to understand that I'll be working and studying, because that means that I would not be focusing on my education as much. I wouldn't have time to do that. So they didn't want me to work while I was studying. And I wanted to respect both our, you know, ideologies. I didn't want to say, no, 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 I'm going to do this. So I wanted a middle way to get what I wanted and to make sure that my parents were happy with that as well.
Okay, so you got the loan and then you could focus on your studies. And how did you find about Kaleidoscope, the mentoring program? And tell us more, what brought you to the program?
Yeah, so I was applying for jobs and all those things on my own, but I was not getting any luck. So I thought that why don't I go and see an education consultant? So I went and saw this one lady, and as you would know, because you are in this field, like what she did was she looked into my CV and my cover letter ideas and my cover letter samples and all those things, and she's like, oh no, they're not that bad, you're actually doing a good job. So I'm like, then why am I not getting any responses? Am I not getting, because in my opinion, I just wanted someone to call me and say that, okay, acknowledge that I was a viable candidate, but I wasn't even getting to that point. So I asked her, is there anything that I can do to be a successful candidate? So she's like, I'll look into it and I will let you know. So then she sent me an email saying, oh, I found out about this program that City of Sterling and City of Perth and a lot of different local governments do, and it's called Kaleidoscope. And I've told you this earlier as well. I came into the program with very little hopes. I was like, okay, I've done a lot. I've tried to do so many things. Let me try this as well. Let's see
So
what
this
happens.
was your last straw, like saying, I have
Yeah,
tried
it was.
everything, let's the last straw and that's it.
Yeah, it was. And I'm really, really happy that I actually decided that I want to do it, because it changed my life. It changed my perspective about how I was looking at things.
Yes, and I remember, I believe the time when you came was when you had the decision to do the trial with international students because you just got your graduate visa.
Mhm.
And it's something not used to do before, and you
Mhm.
came as one of them. And I'm glad that you came because you showed so much commitment, and
Mhm.
also having your work done with your mentor was pretty amazing to see. And I remember when you came, one of the chats that we had after you were in the program, you told me, despite I haven't got a job yet, I don't have a job yet, but I feel different. Could you
Yeah.
explain what happened?
Yeah. So, I was looking at things how I thought my life would go like. I was like, okay, this. I'm checking off milestones. Okay, I'm 18. I'm doing my bachelor's. I've done my bachelor's. I'll move to Australia. I'll do my master's. And, then I would look for a job. I'll get a job. I'll work in my field. I was looking at things in a very linear way, and I was getting frustrated why nothing is happening. And there is one line that you said that, was such an made such an impact on me. It was like, this is not a journey, it's a marathon. Don't treat it as a
The
race.
opposite is not marathon, is your journey, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Oh, I'm sorry, Sema.
Okay.
No,
Because
yeah,
you're
so
running to get at the
yeah.
end. No, you don't need to get at the end. You just have a
Yeah.
journey that you are just.
Yeah. So if you are coming into this with the mindset, because there are going to be ups and there are going to be downs, but if you look at your downs as something of a failure, that means that you are not utilizing them, because every single failure teaches you something.
Mhm,
If you're not asking questions, if you're not saying, what's wrong? What did I do wrong? Did I not communicate well enough? Did I not ask them what I could improve? Like all those sort of things, they changed my mindset about how I was going about my job search and the whole journey. And afterwards, after that, I did not put any pressure on myself. I was really, really enjoying my interviews that I was doing. I was enjoying actually talking to people, because before that, the nervousness and the desperation that, oh, I need a job. If I don't need a job, that means my life is over because your work is everything.
yeah.
That was literally my mindset. And that reflected through when I was talking to people, that reflected in my interviews as well.
Mhm. Yeah. And tell us more about how the job opportunity was created, the job that you have been working for the last 9 months then.
Yeah, so at that time, after I graduated from Kaleidoscope, I was looking at a few job prospects, and my partner was working in Kimberley at the hospitals. And he was like, why don't you try in regional areas? And that would be something that you can do. And I heard him, but I just was like, okay, maybe we'll see. So I just filled in an application for an expression of interest with the local shire here. And luckily, they got back to me. But it was not for the position that I'm working in right now. So
Mhm,
it was a very long journey from my interview till the joining. There was a lot of ups and downs. There was a lot of, should I be doing this? Should I not be doing this? Is it the right step? Is it not the right step? So there was a lot of like ups and downs in between that as well. So they were looking into an environmental health officer
mhm,
at that point, and they saw that I had a master's in environmental science. So they thought I might be the candidate that they are looking for. So when they interviewed me, the interview went well. But within the first 10 minutes, we realized, both my interviewers and me, that this is not the right job for me, because that dealt with um, you know animals and dogs and all those things, and that's not what I was trained for. I am trained in flora and fauna and environmental impact assessments and all those things. So she was like, oh, I can see that you don't have the qualifications for the job and the person that we are looking for, but do you mind if I send your resume to someone in our organization that might have a perfect role for you? And I was like, yes, sure, I would love that. That's how I got the position that I am in right now, and that was a project officer position. And I love it because I get to do a whole lot of different things in technical field. It utilizes both my civil engineering degree and my environmental science, and I could not have asked for a better position. Like, it's the perfect amalgamation of my skills, and it's just perfect. I was in such an a frenzy. Oh, should I leave Perth, which I consider home? I lived there for so long. I came to Australia and Perth became my home. I was like, am I really ready to leave my home and go to a place that I know nothing about, where there are so less people, like, and it's so remote? Am I capable of doing something like that? But then I was like, I don't know, something within my heart said, go for this opportunity. And I just grabbed it and I love it.
Yeah, so for someone who is not in Australia, explain to them geographically where Derby is located in the map.
So Derby is located on the northern tip of the Western Australia. That is the Western Australia is on the west of Australia. The Western Australia, yeah. So it's the furthest away,
Yeah.
and it's about 2,000 kilometers from Perth, which is down south. So it's a long, long, long way from home, as I like to call Perth. And the closest town that we have is 2 hours from here, which is Broome, which has the only airport connecting us to the rest of Australia. So there is a lot that you have to do in order to travel to Derby.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're closer to Indonesia and the islands than we are to the rest of Australia.
Yes. So, and in this context, talking about the geographic distance and where you are located, and as you call Perth home, what's the difference, the cultural difference between the urban Perth to a rural area as Derby?
Yeah, in Perth, you are an individual within a crowd.
A number.
Yeah. So you are you wouldn't know who is living next to you if you're living in an apartment building or something. You would have friends, but you would not meet them for 2 months and it would be fine. But living in a community that is so close knit, everyone knows everyone. If something, if you are in need of something, they would know and they would offer. When you are in Perth, you might not, you're like, oh, they can figure out other options. But when you're so far removed from everyone and everything else, you feel that, okay, that person is in need or that person could use my help. You offer them help. It becomes a very family sort of setting. And I love that because when you're so far away from home, from your parents, being in a smaller community can make you feel so warm and so secure. And that's wonderful.
Yes. So, and how is the English away from Perth?
It's too Australian, I would say.
then,
Sometimes,
then you hear the Australian accent,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So,
It was an adjustment for me, like because I thought that I've been living in Australia for so long, but still there is some things that I don't understand. I had to really listen in to see that, okay, this is that, like, but sometimes you can see what another person is trying to communicate to you by analyzing the body language. So but still, like, yeah, it is quite different.
so there are many. It's good that you're talking about this because now Australia has its doors open to newcomers to close this gap that we are having now with so many the need of skilled people. So, and the options are having going to regional areas, right? And having because where we need lots of workers as well. So it's good that you are giving this narrative about your experience that you feel as part of the community, as a family living in a small town. And there are many people that cannot see themselves living in a small town because they're so used to live in big cities. And it's wonderful that you have, you could adapt and feeling that you are welcome there, that you are part of the region, part of the country. So, any plans for the future?
Yeah, I think I want to continue working in local government because it's such an interesting sector, and people don't realize it that much, because you are essentially working for the community, and everything that you do has a impact, you know, directly on the community, and you're serving them. And it just feels to me that it's such meaningful work. So I think I want to continue working and growing in this industry.
That's wonderful. And it's something that I talk about the career strategy, what you can you do to contribute to someone else's lives, and not just about your career. It's not just about you. It's about others, how you can help others.
Yeah.
And that's how we grow, right? Helping others. And then
Yeah.
it's nice that you have this sense as well that you are helping others.
Mhm.
So Abha, for a young lady that migrated to Australia to pursue her studies,
Mhm.
what advice would you give to someone who is outside of Australia, wanting to come to Australia to study, or just come because they want a better life and work, or do something for themselves?
Yeah.
What advice would you give to them?
Yeah, I would say to them that there are going to be a lot of, like, life is going to throw so many options at you. Always see and analyze those. Sometimes there are going to be people who are going to tell you, okay, do this, and this worked for me, and this could work for you too. I'm not saying that it's not always the case that something that worked for someone else would not work for you, but just put yourself into that situation. Don't be desperate to just succeed and just do everything and just run, 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 run. Actually enjoy your time here. Actually try and understand where you are, why you are here. Like, don't just aimlessly go in any direction and say that, okay, I just want to be successful, I don't care about what I do. Because that's mindset a lot of immigrants have. I don't care what I do, I just want to be successful. So just don't aimlessly go in any direction. Don't just aimlessly take anyone's advice. Actually think about something that you want to do, that your heart wants to do.
That's right.
Because at the end of it, you are gonna get exhausted.
Well, in very early too.
Yeah, very early in your life, and you're gonna feel that there is no purpose in life.
Yes, that's right. I'm glad you got there. Oh, that's so
Hmm.
nice. And for the ones living in Australia right now, they are in the same position that we were before, not knowing what to do, desperate to get the success. What
Yeah.
advice would you give to them?
Yeah, I would say that, I learned from it, the approach that you put into your actions shows. Even if you have a brave face on, even if you're acting out that you're confident, if you're not confident underneath, it's gonna show. So actually try and work on yourself, because you can learn so many interview tips, and you can practice and practice and practice, but until unless the words that you're saying are coming from your heart, nobody's going to believe you.
That's right. It's be genuine,
Yeah, be genuine.
very
Not
genuine.
just say something because you know that the other person is going to like what you're saying.
That's right. So in the beginning, I mentioned that you gave me challenges,
Yes.
right? So in
Yeah.
one of our conversations, we were talking about this job, and you said you were going through the interviews and everything. And I said to you, hey, would you give me a barbecue challenge?
Yes.
Time I
And
was going through my barbecue challenge. And you said, for sure. So
hmm,
let me ask something. Are you vegetarian?
I do not eat beef and pork, but
Mhm.
I eat other meats.
The lamb, the chicken, and
Yeah,
everything.
lamb, chicken, fish, seafood.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and then I asked you for the challenge, and you guided me to a website. It was a blog website, a blog
Yes.
that this lady prepares all different kind of Indian foods. And you said,
Hmm.
oh, her cooking is wonderful. So you sent me and say you can choose one.
Mm.
And it was wonderful. I chose a lamb ramp and I
Yeah.
made, and then it was one of my first challenge that T gave me, and you were the first one
Yeah.
to
Oh,
give
I
to
like to be the first one.
you gave me, because many people, so the main teasers would say, oh, I'll give you. But you were the first one to actually putting the action of sending me something that I could see, and I could not do as, because I normally do something different, but having the guidance of someone from the land where all the curries comes, and then I said, oh, this is a very nice, so I could make the dish on the barbecue that is original, was not made on the barbecue. Thank you for that, and I wish you were here to have that with me.
Yeah, I wish that too, Cema. I sometimes I do, because I have my friends and everyone there, and sometimes I do feel that, okay, I am so far removed from everything, but then I realize that there are times when you might not be closer to the people that you hold near and dear, but they will always be close to you no matter what.
Okay, no matter what. And do you have a store there that sells Indian spices or not? Or need to go
No,
to Darwin?
no, we have an IGA in Broome that stocks a few things, and every few months I come to Perth and stock up.
Ah, that's so good. So, and what's your favorite dish that you miss a lot?
I actually miss my mom's cooking.
Ah,
It's not
everything.
about, yeah, it's just, it's something different. Even though I could like recreate exactly to the tea what she uses in her recipe, it's just not the same. Yeah,
I
I
love.
yeah,
But
I miss that.
but when you think about one dish that gives you the which dish is that?
Biryani.
Brian, oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
uh,
I just love it. I
yeah,
can eat a whole heap of it.
yeah. I,
Mm.
I must do one. I must prepare one on the barbecue. I believe it'll be good. Get one.
It would be really good. I've seen you cook rice on your barbecue.
Yes, but not biryani yet. So I must do
It
it.
it's some of the same principles, because you cook it on slowly, and you cook it on fire, and then you cook it like covered. So yeah, there are some elements that
Yeah.
could be done on a barbecue.
I believe well, normally what I do with everything that is cooked in a pot, I first barbecue the meat separately or the vegetables, and then get the smoke taste on them.
Mhm.
So
And
that's
that's one of the main elements of biryani as well, the smoky taste.
yes.
The
So
the smoky taste that you get from the charcoal and the ghee.
yes,
That's one of the base notes of,
yeah, a
yeah.
good ghee. Oh yeah. Oh my goodness.
Oh, I really want to have some now.
So, thank you very much for this delicious chat together today. So, thank you very much for sharing your journey and for showing people that there is always an opportunity to be created and be patient, being also intentional with your goal, but doesn't mean to be running desperately,
Yeah.
and more enjoying what you have and appreciating what comes and what goes, right?
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, Sema. And it's just wonderful. Anytime that I have any opportunity to talk to you, it's just amazing. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. So enjoy your evening. I know you have a cyclone over there, right?
Hopefully not.
It's like around, but not
It's
there.
around. Yeah, it's not. It's
Okay, so
around, but it's not here. Yeah.
yes, so enjoy your evening and thank you very much. And see you later.
See you later.
Bye bye.
Bye.